Welcome to episode 48 of The Leap Home, Glitter Rock.
In this week's episode, Sam has to save the frontman of a rock band from meeting an untimely demise. With 3 potential suspects in close proximity, can Sam navigate his way out of a tricky situation, or will he end up missing the point as it cuts through his internal organs?
Sticking my tongue out is going to make them stop from ripping my clothes off?
No, that'll make them start ripping their clothes off. Then you can take the guitar and you can smash it to pieces. That always gets me.
Good evening, Ian. How are things?
Not too bad, Gerry. I see your clothes are ripped.
That's what gets them going.
Yeah.
On the opposite direction.
Occasionally. I thought this was a fairly fun change of pace.
Off the top, I have to admit, this episode might have broken me with regards to Sam.
Yeah, well, you've never been a big fan.
I'm going to probably have 2 or 3 rants.
It also kind of felt like the manager was imported from a different show altogether.
We'll talk about him, obviously.
Yeah.
I thought I would have loved this episode. I should have, but Sam ruined it for me.
Well, the whodunit side of things was kind of interesting, and they did kind of set up the possibility of it being someone other than the person it was fairly well.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious. It could have been any of them.
Yeah, I mean...
Apart from the boy. He was too obvious.
Yeah, they ruled him out because he wasn't there when the lights fell.
But again, the lights falling could have been a coincidence.
Yeah. And they ruled out Whitler without really considering him.
That was the
security guy.
Yeah.
Rhodey. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about it once we've done the social media stuff.
Go for it.
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Leap Home Podcast. We're on Facebook at The Leap Home, and you will find show notes for every episode of the podcast at theleaphome.com. You can hear every episode 1 week early on our YouTube channel, Columbo Podcast Productions, and we would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube. Also, reviews are very welcome at Apple Podcasts and on IMDb where the show is listed. It would be great to hear from you there.
Do you know what I've been watching this week a lot of?
What have you been watching this week, Gerry?
A show that we've mentioned a number of times. You won't have seen it, but I'm wondering if you can remember the star and his connection. So it's Adam 12.
Adam 12. Okay, tell me more about Adam 12.
Well, it ran for hundreds of episodes from the 60s into the 70s, and the joint star of it was a chap called Martin Milner.
Okay.
You know who that is, don't you?
No.
Come on.
Who's Martin Milner? Is he James Milner's brother?
Jim Ferris.
Oh, okay, of course. First Columbo episode.
The first victim.
There you
Proper,
go.
as it were.
It's a long time ago that we did that podcast. Coming up in a decade.
It will be, yeah.
Maybe 9 years. Let's say 9 years.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some glitter?
Let's crack on.
After the intro and the same tag that we saw at the end of last week's episode, where Sam leaps into the middle of this concert, he's asked if he's going to do it or not, gives an oh boy, and we see the credits. We come back to a concert venue.
Now, we should point out that Sam is he's holding a double-necked guitar.
Yes, and he's getting away with not knowing what's going on because it's the end of the concert.
At this point, we are told it is April 12th, 1974, and we've got some pyro and smoke on stage as the crowd go wild at the end of this final number.
We then see the band make their way through a gauntlet of photographers, and Sam makes eye contact with one of them, and we get a weird sort of slow-mo and weird noise playing.
Yeah, we have this several times. This is the motif for this character, and I didn't like it that much. I thought it was quite jarring.
Yeah, there's no reason for Sam to be worried about this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a point. He sees a young guy at a concert.
Yeah, with a camera amongst photographers.
And is able to hone in on it as if there's something sinister or something.
Yeah. Magic powers.
Yeah.
They make their way into the dressing room where there are groupies waiting. But one of the bandmates, who I think we learned is called Flash.
Well, I see I've called him McGrath. I'm not calling the guy Flash. You think, yeah, it's Flash McGrath, but I'm going with McGrath.
I've stuck with Flash.
Okay.
He has a go at Sam for not playing his song.
He's got an English accent. I think the whole band are.
Yeah, they're a British band.
Mm-hmm. Sam stutters an apology as their manager, who's also English. His name's Dwayne, which is not a typical English-British name of the era, but perhaps it's his stage name.
Yeah, or maybe he's named after somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard of anyone called Dwayne.
Not in the UK.
No.
The Rock.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, growing up back in the day, there'd been nobody that you'd have known.
Can't think of any.
Nah.
Anyhow, yes, so Sam says to this guy that he forgot to play this tune. He's told that he'll knock his head into the ground the next time if it happens again. And as you say, Dwayne shows up and he chases the girls out.
Why would they do that? It's like that's part of the job. You go on stage, you perform, you come back, you have drinks, you party with the groupies. I mean,
Well,
Dwayne, what are you playing at here?
Maybe he's got some process to go through with them. One of the guys, I don't know if it was Flash, I think it might be one of the others, says they lament the loss of entertainment.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. They are the employers. I think often this is missed as well in this type of relationship. Like, the manager comes in and orders, yeah, but you employ your manager.
Yes.
Anyway, Sam is then chastised for going to remove his makeup. I've got a big question about this. Why was there an open tub of makeup remover and wipes on the
That's
table?
what I was thinking. Doesn't make any sense.
No. Who laid that out there? It's almost as if you're asking for someone to do that.
Yeah. Dwayne goes over something he's obviously told them before, saying that they keep their makeup on until they reach the hotel because it adds an air of mystery, which helps record sales.
Well, I think, again, with, that's obviously the nod to Kiss, and that's what they did for years. They weren't seen without their makeup, and
Right.
I can accept and understand this. If you are going to wear makeup and create
That's
this,
the act, yeah.
that's your act.
He then, Dwayne reminds the band that they were nothing without him. And one of them tells him that the reverse is also true. But he's got more to say.
What's that?
He insists that it was his ideas that have them playing in front of 90,000 fans. Basically, he's the brains behind the operation.
Maybe. That might be the case.
It
might
could
be.
be, but he doesn't need to go on about it.
No.
He gets a bit of sarcastic praise before the band and Dwayne head outside through a gauntlet of fans and photographers, and Sam gets this same uneasy feeling when he sees the guy again.
I think it's at this point as well that Dwayne asked Sam why they sounded horrible tonight, and this is really, for some reason, annoyed me. He said, it was the lyrics. That's not...
Doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
And Dwayne also says, you wrote the lyrics.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the same lyrics every time, presumably.
Of course it'll be, yeah. It's not the first time you've heard these lyrics. Why would Sam say such a thing?
Yeah.
And it's not these type of bands, you're not there for the lyrics. It's not renowned.
Yeah, I've got a question now about the mechanics of leaping. So when Sam sings in the band,
I've got this I think it's later on, but I've got the same point.
who do we hear?
Now, this goes back to the whole, is he taking on, what voice? If it's just the aura, is he taking, they must hear this other person's voice.
So they're hearing a British accent.
Well, let's look at another example. When he leaps into a woman, you don't hear Sam's voice. Anytime you don't hear someone's voice.
So when he's singing...
Because obviously, if you know someone, you can't talk in Sam's accent and voice.
Yeah.
It must be the other person's. But yeah, when he's singing, this is the point. If he sings in a particular register...
Yep.
Then... And Sam can sing, but how do they style... Does Sam just sing in his own...
And it's interpreted through the other person's...
But again, that's my point. This now comes down to he has to use the physical attributes of...
He's worrying about not being able to sing that way at one point in this episode.
Yes.
Why would he worry about that if he just is able to use that person's singing talent?
But that's a good question. But maybe he is meaning about more about performance and...
Yeah, but then we've already been through that with the radio station and you thought he would be over it by now.
Yeah.
Performance nerves. Anyway.
I'm hoping you've got some good trivia about the singing and the songs.
But I've got who wrote them.
Well, that's what I'm after, yeah. And also if Scott Bakula performed these ones as well. You can tell us about that later on.
I don't have that information, but I think he did.
That's obvious trivia.
Yeah, it's not that interesting though.
That is interesting. I'm interested to know if he sang that or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Anyhow, we get into this limo where Sam, and this is, I think you've got an issue with this, I've noted he's always ready to tell people what to do, and he encourages his bandmate Flash to go easy on the booze.
I just can't accept this. You must look at yourself and go, he's now an experienced leaper.
Yeah.
He's done, 40 odd times?
Almost 3 whole seasons.
Yeah. And he knows he's in the 70s in a rock band, which... They're all renowned for their partying, their hard drinking and drugs.
I used to apply his conservative values, even in this scenario.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's just odious, it's sickening. And he's not even doing much, he's just having some, you could be shooting up here.
Yeah, no, he's just drinking vodka out of a bottle or something.
It's just being a bit of a rock star. Yeah. Sam, just shut up. Let
Yeah.
people do their thing and remember who you are and where you are.
Fortunately for Sam, he's just laughed off and he's told that Flash is the fun when he suggests he might miss it.
Yeah, but he continues his nonsense by mumbling about being a gentleman when one of the girls suggests that that he's never fallen asleep on top of a woman.
Yeah, and quickly corrected by his bandmate, who says that that's not applying when he's alone with his mates.
McGrath and Dwayne then argue over money, with the manager trying to rein in some of his extravagancies. And again, Square Sam pipes up and advises them all to save some money for a rainy day. Just shut up, Sam. Now, I'm not disagreeing with the principle here. However, stop
Time
it.
and place.
Time and place.
Yeah, well, the reason that Sam steps in, though, is because Flash takes exception to something that Dwayne says about them not having that much money, or them not spending.
Yeah.
Because they think he wants a Ferrari or something, doesn't he? Maybe that's later on. But Flash is of the opinion that they have more money than Croesus and will make the Beatles look like ants. And then Sam talks about not remembering something, but it's not clear what he doesn't remember.
Yeah.
I think we find out later that it's his own band, the band that he's in, he doesn't remember.
Sure.
So they can't have been bigger than the Beatles if he doesn't remember them. I think that's what he's going with.
No one was bigger than the Beatles, really.
No. But, he kind of covers his tracks saying that people will be saying that they don't remember the Beatles once this band makes it. And he says they'll be like an infestation, and Flash says, "We're the exterminator," and everyone laughs, and it's all a bit weird.
Yeah. Anyway, we head to Sam's apartment. And
Is it not the hotel?
No.
They're not touring.
Yeah, you're right. But I think maybe it's his
Suite, maybe, yes.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter. He keeps up his nonsense when three girls arrive at the place and giggle as they throw him onto the bed, and he demands to know how they get past security. What is he?
Well, they could be killers, to be fair. You don't know. But in the circumstances, they say they use their feminine wiles and they're wanting to use them on him as well.
But sorry, when you say killer, Sam has no idea that someone's going to be murdered in their sleep. Why would you assume it? Why would you think
into his room?
No, they're groupies. He's a rock star.
Yeah.
Jeez. Honestly, I'm really despising him.
Yeah. Al shows up at this point to cause him a bit of turmoil.
It does. But sorry, before we get there, if all the leaps right, he's always wanting to fall in love and seduce women when he shouldn't, right?
Yeah, when they're dead.
When they're dead or when they're vulnerable. I would have no issue with this because these girls are just trying to use a rock star.
This is like the woman who was in the frat house and there was the two girls in the bed.
Exactly. Do that just now. Everyone's up for it. It's just fun. They want to go to bed with a rock star.
It's not going to ruin their lives. They're not going to spend the rest of their days thinking, "Oh no, that rock star took advantage of me."
That's what they're there for. Like, just this is the time when I would say, yeah, do you know what? Go and do it just for a bit of fun. It's cool, but don't be doing it with vulnerable women.
I mean, they're quite clearly actively consenting.
That's what the groupies. That's what they're there for, and they look over 18 and all that sort of stuff.
He's not coerced them or drugged them or got them drunk or anything.
They are pouncing on him. Just do it then. Lay off the deaf women and blind people and all that type of stuff. Just right. Anyway,
after Al shows up and mocks him slightly, Sam literally picks two of the women up and takes them out the door.
He's literally thrown away.
He then chases the third one away, recovering his hat as she says, "We just wanted to talk."
And Al, at this point, correctly pulls him up. He calls him out for being pitiful, saying that he threw away or declined a perfectly good fan sandwich.
Yes. Sam says he's not going to take advantage of deluded girls. It's demeaning to them, and this is worse than when he was a Chippendale.
We've just said this. They are trying to take advantage of him. He's not taking advantage of them. Stop being so. It's like, well, they can't have any agency, or they can't like sex.
No, exactly.
He does take advantage of women all the time, and when he shouldn't.
Al points out that what you've just said, they were consenting to being repeatedly demeaned in that way.
Yeah.
But Sam's not having any of it, and he wants to know what is going on.
Al confirms the date and explains that he is Jeffrey Mole, stupid name that, isn't it?
Yes.
And is a singer in an English rock group called King Thunder. That's a terrible name as well.
Yes.
His nickname is Tonic after vodka tonic, and in 2 days he gets stabbed to death by a nut.
This is the worst setup, by the way, the nickname thing. Oh, there was some escapade when you were young, and then later on, you drank some vodka tonics.
Yeah.
So anyway, I interrupted your big...
Well, I was leaving the clip there, Ian, but yes, he gets stabbed to death by a nut while getting into his limo.
So who kills me? Who kills Tarek?
We don't know. He disappeared into the crowd.
How can you stab somebody in front of hundreds of witnesses and then just disappear? I mean, that's impossible.
I'm just trying to tell you what happened. I can't explain it. It was probably some nutcase like that Mark David Chapman.
Who?
The rat that shot John Lennon.
Al, I saw somebody like that today.
You did?
Yeah.
What did he look like?
He blonde, young, 16 or 17. He had on an army jacket, and
What?
well, kind of a haunted expression.
Well, Ziggy can't find anyone that fits that profile in your probability matrix. It must be a stranger.
Why would a complete stranger want to kill me? Now that doesn't make sense.
You're the one with all the PhDs, you tell me.
Process schizophrenia. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure. Process schizophrenic. Yeah, what is that?
No. Process schizophrenia. Most schizophrenics never become violent, but in process schizophrenia, a person's sense of self is slow in developing. It's kind of like they don't have a complete personality. So they kind of fill up what's missing by imitating something that they see or know. Ooh, like that kid who shot President Reagan.
Oh, Hinckley.
Yeah, Hinckley. Right. He repeatedly watched Taxi Driver, the movie, over and over again about this guy who stalks a political candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, right. But we don't even know if that's what this guy is or...
According to Ziggy, these anonymous killers come in all types. Most of them are obsessive, and some of them are loners. And if you ask them about their lives, they say one thing, but in reality...
But the truth is completely different. Something totally different. That's
right. And this one is apparently obsessed with you, with Tonic.
Yeah. Listen, on this sleep, I want you to stay really close, okay? Because if we see him, I don't want to take a chance of losing him.
I'll stick with you like glue.
There's a lot of nonsense in that clip by Samuel.
Quite a few things to unpack.
So the first thing, I've got two. I think you can take the bigger one. He's first pointing about how can someone stab someone in a crowd and go unnoticed, get away with it. Well, that's easy. In a crowd, that stabbing's the best way.
Done it many times.
Obviously, who hasn't? But I mean, I'm thinking if I was in a crowd on a busy dance,
That's the best way to get away with it.
it's not a shot. It's not a gun. People don't turn round. You could walk into a crowd anywhere. Stab someone and walk off and they wouldn't even know it happened. And then also, he talks, he says, why would a complete stranger want to kill me? Or why would you want to kill a complete stranger? What are you talking about? Look at John Lennon. Look at famous...
Al literally mentions John Lennon.
But famous people are targets for whack jobs all the time.
Yeah.
It's not...
Well, very few famous folk are killed by people who do know them, are they?
Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
His dad killed him.
JFK by that FBI guy. A few other points. So quite telling, I think, that he doesn't remember the assassination of John Lennon, but is very clear on the Reagan shooting.
What, his hero?
Yeah.
He hated John Lennon. We've discussed this before.
He lied and said Imagine was his favourite song.
Yeah, no chance.
No. He couldn't wait to tell. But he remembered Lennon getting assassinated when he was talking to his sister.
Yeah, but perhaps each leap's different.
Anyhow, this process schizophrenia stuff, it just seems to me like a bit to shoehorn into the script. Oh, remember Sam's a doctor.
Yeah.
Because it's not relevant to the story.
Nope.
It never gets mentioned again. It's not actually very helpful in working out who...
I don't even know how medically accurate this is. Is this a bit like old school, like, oh, if you're mental illness, you might be a killer?
And it sounds, the way that Sam says it, like the guy who wrote this story just kind of looked it up in a book and said, oh, we'll write this down.
Yeah.
Or he heard it about Hinckley or something like that.
Sure.
Anyway, I didn't like it. Anything that was said in that clip.
No. At this point, we see the loner guy furtively taking pictures from of the apartment from outside. What? What's the point in that? It's like an hotel or whatever it is.
A window.
A window. Why are you taking pictures? You idiot.
We then go to a shopping mall the next day where the band are signing records and so on while being interviewed, presumably for the radio.
Yeah. Well, I think that was fairly common back then.
Yeah. And Sam's asked about one of his songs.
Yeah, and in particular his writing techniques, but he obviously doesn't know how he goes about it. And the rest of the band joke about his lack of brains and desire only for women.
Yes. He's then told some of the lyrics, which seem to hit home because they kind of describe a bit of quantum leaping. That's a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah. He has quoted some awful lyrics, which he manages to answer with some equally awful pseudo-deep guff before he bows his head in embarrassment as a female fan.
Oh, things liven up a wee bit.
he just can't help himself. So she, again, this is back in the day, very, very common, probably still goes on just now.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Female fan opens her top, says, sign my chest.
And instead he signs a record and gives it to
Puts
her.
his head down like an embarrassed little schoolboy. Yeah,
It's like, oh, not nipples. Just don't let me see the nipples.
just do it and act a part, Sam.
I'm surprised he didn't vomit all over her.
Or stand up and tell her to put her jacket on and usher her out.
Yes.
And give her
take it back to her mum.
Yeah, and give her a talk about how she's ruining her life with these sort of loose morals. And
You'll get AIDS. That girl in the other
Find
episodes.
yourself a man, settle down.
That's it. You should have 3 kids by now.
Such a conservative.
Oh. He then also embarrasses himself by standing up and shooting on Al
Yes.
in the middle of this interview.
But just then, we have the loner motif again as Sam spots him in the crowd and Al locks onto him as he moves away.
Yes, he gets Gushy to centre him. Meanwhile, Sam is asked about this being their penultimate gig in Detroit and flashes they're going to debut some of his new songs, and he knows that Tonic will do a great job with them.
After some stock footage of New York in the 70s, we arrive at the loner's apartment as he returns singing a song by King Thunder.
Yes, we see a dartboard with Sam's face on it. And lots of strings on a corkboard connecting his last 6 locations. No, we don't. It's press clippings and posters of the band.
Yeah.
He's clearly a fan, so we as viewers maybe either rule him out or think, is he an obsessive?
He could be an obsessive fan, yeah.
It's a bit like, was that in The Bodyguard? The guy had the
Yeah.
shrine.
I'm thinking more Alan Partridge.
Okay.
Al
Are you thinking you and Alan Partridge?
Al is unable to get his name from the hand link and so resorts to a more practical approach.
Yes, the guy chucks his wallet across the room and it lands open, so he's able to see the boy's name. I think it's Philip Silbert.
Yep.
And Ziggy fills in a few more details.
When he chucks it, we again use slow-mo.
Completely unnecessary.
Terrible.
Yeah.
That's a technique that
The
they've...
only way this could be worse is if he sat there going, I am Philip Silbert.
Back at the stadium, Sam...
Well, this is interesting.
Okay.
Though. So, is this where we see the exterior of the stadium?
RFK.
Which is not in Detroit.
No, it won't be.
It's in Washington.
Yeah.
In fact, has it been demolished now?
But they don't call it the RFK. They call it another stadium. So
Yeah, but it says on the front of it.
Yeah, it does. But you're not meant to see that. And again, back in the day, we were looking at it from more high def, maybe remastered stuff.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have noticed it back then.
Fair enough.
And even then, if you did notice it, if you weren't like from there, you wouldn't know that shouldn't be there.
I suppose. Okay, so or maybe in this alternate universe it is there.
Yeah, could be.
So we see Sam doing a bit of practicing. We get a voiceover of his thoughts, as we sometimes do, where he thinks that some leaps are harder than others, and he's not sure he'll be able to remember all this music when they start the gig. Well, obviously, he must be able to play guitar to a certain extent.
He's a concert level pianist, so the musicality of it should be fine.
Yeah.
But again, there's still the physical aspect. If you can't play the guitar, you can't simply pick it up, even if you are. But I'm assuming that level of musician would be...
As long as he knows the main 4 chords.
Yeah, this type of music, I suppose, yeah. Al arrives and updates him on Silbert.
Yeah, he's been running some scenarios, which we heard about, I think, was it last week or the week before, for the first time. This guy's a good candidate as a killer. He's been running away from foster homes and he's likely to end up homeless. I think his mother's died.
Mother died, not just that, but he was illegitimate.
That's made Sam
but-
must be killer. He's a killer.
And the social worker apparently considers him emotionally disturbed.
Well, in that case, just then a guy, I think, with a beard shows up with a message for Sam.
Yeah, it's about bouncing checks.
Yes, he's tried to buy a ranch in Utah, but the check for the deposit, I think, has bounced.
He then walks on stage to do some sound checking and he tells Al he wants to talk to the kid, but he points out that Silbert doesn't want to talk. He wants to kill. Why? Al's making these massive
leaps.
Yeah.
Sam's really bad during the sound check.
Yeah, the rest of the band look puzzled at his less than energetic attempt at Rock the Redhead. There's this song there, I think it's Hotspot or something like that later on. It was very Spinal Tap.
Okay, yeah.
It's quite good actually. It was good enough. Like it's that sort of Spinal Tap level where it's not really bad. You could see this and back in the day being
real
fine.
rock songs have got great lyrics all the time.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, there are plenty of bands that were worse than
Look at
this.
Ed Sheeran's lyrics. Some of them are absolutely, they don't even rhyme.
I'd rather look at them and listen to them, that's for sure.
Anyhow, Sam's poor performance is immediately forgotten when he almost dies.
Yeah, a lighting rig falls from the ceiling, causing him to jump out of the way but bang his head as he falls.
Al, however, reports that Philip is still in his apartment and couldn't have been involved.
No, but so that's what I'm saying earlier on. They make a big assumption that therefore he isn't the killer, but this might just be a coincidence.
It could be an accident.
Yeah.
Or maybe two folk are trying to kill him.
Yeah.
They never consider that. Anyway, Dwayne runs out at this point to check on Sam and talks to Whitler, the roadie, and says he got sloppy.
Yeah, he seemed quite uninterested, Whitler. He's standing there, whatever, sure.
These things happen.
And he then orders them all back to the hotel.
Yes, meanwhile, Al does a bit of research into Whitler, who has a record for armed robbery and was once arrested for attempted manslaughter but was not convicted.
Yeah, I think he was part of a biker gang.
Yes, and this is enough to convince Sam that he's a wrong'un, and all the more so because he's very close with Flash, who would become the leader if Sonic goes in there.
Okay, before we discuss that, they also, I think Sam suggests that maybe Silbart rigged up the lighting to come down, but they then
Rule that out, yeah.
Of course, it's garbage. How could you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing think about any band. Now, the band members notoriously fall out and don't like each other.
Yeah.
But if one had to kill the lead singer, that is no guarantee you just sort of take his place. It might just be the end of the band.
Yeah.
A ridiculous thing to do.
No. Order of succession. He will step up.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
So we're back at the stadium, where Sam goes to speak with Dwayne in his office about some financial matters.
Who is it? Tonic. Oh, come in, Tonic. The door's open. Tonic, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be resting. Yeah, well, I know. I just wanted to talk to you. You got a second? Sure. What's on your mind? You know that ranch I'm buying in Utah? Ranch? What ranch? My bank called today and told me that the escrow check bounced. Of course the check bounced. I don't leave money lying around in your checking account. I've got it working for you. Well, I understand that. Look, I've told you a million times not to go off on these wild spending sprees without talking to me first. That way I can transfer the right amount of money to your account. Okay. The damage is done. Why don't you tell me how much money you've blown this time? Well, a lot. Sort of. And now it's a ranch, eh? What do you want with a ranch anyway? I just want a ranch. There's no problem with the money, is there? No. It's just tied up in long-term stuff. If we cash in right now, well, we won't make quite as much money as we could have. But you don't need to worry about that. You just get me the name of the bank and I'll get a new check to them right away. Yeah, well, I got it. I got the number back in my room, so I'll just go and I'll get it to you later, okay? Right. Then I'll call them, and then you can go and play Roy Rogers to your heart's content. Now go and get some rest, Tonic. You got a big night tonight.
I quite like that potential plot there, the plot device, because it's well known that many rock stars, musicians, have been ripped off by their agents or managers over the years, type of thing that would be certainly plausible.
Yeah, absolutely. Backstage at the concert, Al shows up and startles an anxious Sam before giving him a pep talk and some tips for rock and roll performance. We heard it at the top of the podcast.
He then tells him to go out and, worst case scenario, he has to do a Milli Vanilli. This doesn't make sense.
No, also the lamentable effort at making jokes about the band name of The Who has been done so many times, much better in many other places.
That's a nod to Abbott and Costello's Who's On First.
Yeah, but not as good.
Of course not.
Yeah. Yeah, so the baseball one.
Yes, I think I let you hear it a while ago, yeah.
Yes, Al tells him he needs to make a fool of himself and cut loose. So on stage, we see Al in the background playing air guitar and having the time of his life as Sam sings Rock the Redhead. And he gets into it a wee bit.
Yeah, I think he does a fine job. But I want to know how he learned, leaving aside his ability to play.
Yeah.
How do you learn all the songs for a whole gig?
He's got a photographic memory or something like that. I've not seen this before.
Anyway, we're back at the apartment or the hotel suite. Apparently, the rest of the gig went fine, and Sam returns to what has become the after party.
In his room, yes.
Yeah, and it looks to be early morning. But obviously he's quite boring, and he tries to end the fun and fights off the advances of a number of eager girls.
He does. Before Flash thinks he's being hilarious by offering Tonic a vodka tonic.
But he has more trouble getting the message across to Sandy. Now, Sandy is McGrath's girl or current groupie.
Yes, she starts coming on to Sam, but he tries to bail on her to avoid upsetting his bandmate.
She eventually leaves, but promises they will do more later.
There's a bit of a time jump at this point. It's now 5 a.m. The party's still going, and
Sam's still being boring and complaining about the time it is, as Al informs him that it is 60% likely what happens.
That Dwayne is embezzling money from the band, and 17% likely that Whittler's the killer.
Apparently, yes, Dwayne's been stealing money to cover the losses on the stock market.
Yes. So at this point, Al reckons there's 3 suspects. He doesn't name the 3 suspects, but I think they changed to a different 3 suspects later on.
Well, it's going to be McGrath.
Yep, Philip and Dwayne.
Yeah.
But also, he's just said there's a 17% chance it's Whittler.
Did he say that? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 4.
Well, maybe they've ruled out. At this point, they've ruled out.
So 17's low. Is that him excluded?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I thought 17, that's like a 1 in 5 chance.
I wouldn't want a 60% chance of dying.
Okay, so Sam asks Al about Philip, and he tries to get centred on him, but doesn't go anywhere.
Well, I think, does he not go and immediately come back?
Yeah, in the same place, yes.
Which means?
That means that Philip's at the party.
Oh, it's one of those horror movies, isn't it, where you pick up the phone, I'm in the house with you. Oh.
Scream, yeah.
More concerning, however, is the news that it is 50-50 that Sam gets killed at this party. And at this, Philip is spotted, and after the motif and slow-mo, the security guy grabs him. Now, here's the thing, before we get to that, I've never heard Sam ask the question, what happens if I die?
No, it's never been broached.
No. Sam's like, I think I just leap. No,
No, you're dead.
That's you. Really?
You leap, but you're still dead.
Oh. And the guy has to leap back into a dead body.
Yeah.
I'm trapped. So yeah, the grab.
Whittler comes over, yes, and grabs Philip and finds one of Sam's tops or his wigs or something in his pocket.
Yeah. Or maybe just like a bandana, I don't know what it is. But also
a pocket knife.
However, Silbert apparently has a good reason for not wanting to hurt Sam.
He would never hurt him as he's his estranged son. That seems like a motive to me. Anyway, Sam is sympathetic.
Yeah, security obviously doesn't believe him and is about to throw him out, but instead Sam takes him out onto the veranda for a talk.
So what makes you think that I'm your father?
My mom told me. She always had your picture around and in your albums. And one day she started crying and she told me.
Told you that I was your father.
She said that, you know, you did it after your concert in Omaha, the first time you guys came over here from England.
Well, Sam, King Thunder did play Omaha 16 years ago. Of course, then they were called the Dingles. Things do happen after concerts.
Look, Philip, I was in Omaha a long time ago, but that doesn't mean
I sound like you.
What?
I can play guitar just like you. I sing just like you. That's because you're my father.
A lot of people have very similar voices and sound alike when they sing. And
look, you and I've got the same hand. See, I got this little web of skin just like you. I don't want any money from you. I don't want anything. I just want you to admit that you're my father.
You never hear about folk with webbed fingers anymore.
No, I mean, I think you'd have a procedure. Certainly if you were a famous guitarist, the practicalities of having to sort of extend and expand your fingers, it must be challenging. And also, cameras must be doing close-ups in your hands all the time. You don't necessarily want that.
Yeah, you don't want webbing.
No, it's never good.
Never a sign of quality or prestige, I don't think. No. Anyway, we skip ahead to concert night. Ziggy tells Al it's only 50-50 that Tonic is Philip's father, but he's still 99% likely to be killed.
So he will have to perform in order to catch the killer? I don't understand how...
Just leave.
Yeah. McGrath is not happy that one of the other members is wearing a new wig after having their own one stolen, and reminds Sam that he's got to do one of his songs on stage that night.
But he wears the same wig that he had on the night in the previous gig.
Yeah?
Yeah. Anyhow, that's probably to do with filming order and stuff.
The others leave for the stage, but before Sam joins them, Al airs his concern and advises him to bail on the show.
I did enjoy that at this point we see Whittler whittling.
Yes.
He's got his knife and he's got a bit of wood.
Yeah.
Sam gives Whittler his guitar and sends him up to the stage so that he can chat to Al. Sam then says he cannot bail.
Yeah, he's got to find this killer and stop him. And at this point, Dwayne enters to tell Sam to get a move on. So he invites him in and asks about the losses in the stock market and threatens him with an audit.
Yes, it's a bit of a strange time to do that, but okay.
Yes. Let's get your
I'm about to
books
be
out.
murdered, but let's make sure we
Do you have a calculator on you so we can go through this just now?
But then Dwayne says he can get this all back and he has to let him try, and Sam agrees. So Dwayne must be fine then. He'll be happy with
You'd have thought so.
Yeah.
This is him being... Because I suppose, yeah, the big fear for Dwayne is being exposed and he thinks no one else knows. So at this point when Sam's went, yeah, cool. Unless, of course, he knows that it's so bad he can't get it back.
Yeah, he just has to end the... Yeah.
But I also think he says to Sam that, look, you can have your share right now if you want.
Yes, so he's got enough to pay off one of them, maybe. Yeah.
And at this point as well, Al exclaims that he knew he was a killer.
Yeah, I'll jump into another conclusion. Sam has a couple of requests to make.
What's that?
He wants to ride in a different limo from Flash, and he wants the limos to come to a different exit, which Al thinks is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I think it's sensible enough, isn't it? Don't you know, if you don't do you go through the same routine if someone's out to get you.
To disrupt things.
So Dwayne leaves, but a sultry Sandy enters at this point and states that they want each other. But I mean, they're on stage, literally on stage, waiting for him to appear. I mean, what?
Well, fashionably late, you know.
Fashionably quick.
She attempts to mount him, at which point Flash comes in and hauls her out of the way and tells Sam that he's a dead man.
Before leaving himself. Al has now changed his mind and is sure that McGrath is the killer, at least for the moment.
Or maybe Dwayne. Or Philip. On stage, Sam sings the song Fate's Wide Wheel, and we see Philip with his backstage pass bopping along.
It's a slow number, this. Yeah, Philip, he nods his approval from the backstage area. They then go into a rockier number, which Al tells him is the last of the night. Yes,
Flash asks if they're going to do his songs, and Al tells Sam not to bother because they're garbage, so he says no.
And they continue with Hotspot, which is quite good.
Yeah. The gig ends quite well. The band heads out, but over Sam's objections, they're shepherded in sort of RFK style, if you've ever seen the footage of his murder, to the exit that Sam wanted to avoid.
So he finds himself outside with the rest of the band among the screaming fans. So they've just literally come off stage. These fans must have left before the final number.
Yeah,
and also Philip as well, because he's there.
Well, he had a backstage pass. He probably had immediate access.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sam sees Philip and thinks he's going for his knife in his pocket.
And just then, someone dressed like one of the band approaches, but Philip actually saves the day.
Yeah, he shouts "Dad," which causes Sam to turn and is able to see and then disarm this assailant.
Well, I think with the help of
Whittler, yes.
Before we have a Scooby-Doo ending.
Very, very, very Scooby-Doo, wasn't it?
Yeah, as Dwayne is revealed to be the killer, and he would have got away with what was rightly his if it hadn't been for
Sam's kid.
Meddling child.
Flash asks Dwayne if he's gone mad, and as you say, he explains his entire evil plan as he's being dragged away. He had to shut Sam up over the money, but Flash is shocked to learn that there is no money. Dwayne's lost it all. Oh dear.
So we return to the suite where the rest of the band hear and discuss what happened earlier.
Should have let me kill him, the bleeding twit. No, killed him, no. We should have killed him, brought him back to life and killed him again after what he did to us. What'd he do?
Oh, I mean, besides attack tonic and all.
He stole our bloody money, that's what he did, you bleeding idiot.
Right. Well, we can always make more money, can't we? There's only one tonic, right? We don't want to lose him.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
I always knew he was a shifty little twerp.
And in my bleeding wig.
Ought to kill him for that alone.
Yeah.
You know, you are one lucky geezer, you know that.
He's right.
It had nothing to do with luck.
Actually, Philip helped me out.
Me?
Yeah. What the heck were you reaching for in your pocket anyway? I mean, I saw you, and then I saw somebody else reaching in their pocket, and then you yelled, and that made me jump back, and that's why Dwayne missed me. And if you hadn't done that,
Let me give you this.
Is this your mom?
Yeah. And you was taken after your first concert.
Not bloody likely. He was sick from drinking too many vodka tonics on stage. Spent the night in the hospital getting his stomach pumped. That's why we call him Tonic.
He's right, Sam. Tonic went straight from the concert to the hospital.
Look, Philip, I'm sorry.
Oh, I remember her. She came with you backstage before the concert.
She was a bit of all right, as I recall you telling me.
Before the concert.
He couldn't even stand after the concert.
Sam, if Tonic went bingo bango bongo with Philip's mother, there's a 98% chance that you're the father.
Maybe I am your father.
Hello, Dad.
In these pre-DNA testing days, that's probably enough for him.
Yeah, 98%. That's fine.
98, why not? So Philip's happy with this. He's going to leave. He doesn't want anything from Sam, but Sam wants him to stay, and the others have heard something from him.
What's that?
His guitar playing is better than Sam's, apparently.
Yeah.
They need him to stick around.
Which McGrath, he thinks is a great idea. And at this, Al reports that Silbert ends up as one of the hottest studio musicians in London, and as they hug, Sam leaps.
Yes, into a man who is on the phone handcuffed to a woman who suddenly yells that she's being kidnapped by her ex-husband, and a couple of bigger lads shove Sam in a corner, and he gives it the old, "Oh boy." That's the end.
Indeed.
I have some questions.
Oh, go for it.
So if this band, King Thunder, now goes on to be successful, they're playing to 90,000, does that mean that Kiss doesn't exist in that universe? Because they would just be copycats.
Yeah, I can't see them.
There's no room for two.
No. I mean, there were a lot of similar bands. Even in the 80s, you had a lot of the sort of glam metals, like, you had Motley Crue were probably the top band. The Poison came behind them, and you'd all these other ones as well.
You can't just take the whole shtick of...
No, the makeup was very similar.
Yeah. Did you like the songs? You've already kind of answered that.
I thought the songs were a good pastiche, or a good facsimile.
Okay. Of what might have been, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And what did you think of Dwayne's action? Do you think he was justified in trying to knock off Sam?
Murder someone after losing their money?
Yes.
No.
No, neither did I. I just didn't have a better question. Okay. Any other thoughts on the episode?
Nah, just let's say Sam got on my tits.
As usual. Okay, trivia. Aired originally on the 10th of April 1991, directed by Andy Cadiff. This is his second of 3. First one was So Help Me God, the courtroom drama in season 2, so if you want to hear more about him, go back to that one. Chris Rupenthal returned to the day job after directing last time out. This was the 6th of his 10 scripts, and if you want to go back and hear more about him, you need to listen to the podcast about Good Morning Peoria. John Grease played Flash. Second of 2 Quantum Leaps. He was previously uncredited in The Right Hand of God, and we didn't talk about him in that episode. He's also appeared in The Twilight Zone, The X-Files, Get Shorty, Men in Black, Seinfeld, and one of my recent favourites, The White Lotus, which I recommend to anyone who likes that sort of thing. He's now 65 years old, still active. Dwayne was played by Peter Noon, his only Quantum Leap episode. Most famously a musician, he was Herman in the 60s pop group Herman's Hermits.
I've read quite a few rock biographies, and different sources have stated that he was a bit of a pain.
Well, weren't they all? No, probably just him. He performed in the soundtrack for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in 1978, and as an actor he's appeared on Coronation Street, Laverne and Shirley, Married with Children, amongst others. He's now 75 years old. Philip was played by Christian Hoff. This was his only Quantum Leap. He's also been in California Man, ER, Ugly Betty. He's now 55. His last screen credit was in 2014, but he's also a musical theatre performer. He remains active in that role.
Encino Man in the States.
That had Brendan Fraser and the kid from the Goonies.
Sean Astin. I thought you'd have talked
Not Sean Astin, the...
Sean Astin was in it.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of the one that just won the Oscar for Best Actor.
Oh, yes, yes. Data.
Yes, so they talked about Encino Man on the red carpet at the Oscars. I remember seeing that.
Is that also Pauly Shore as well? I'm not sure.
Not sure. Nick, who I think was one of the band members, was played by Michael Cerveris. Also appeared in Fame, The Good Wife, Ant-Man 2. He's become, I think, more popular recently. Even Fringe had a big role in that. He's been in The Gilded Age most recently. He's now 62, still active. This was his only Quantum Leap. Wilder, the last band member, again, his only Quantum Leap. He was played by Robert Bauer. He also appeared in This Is Spinal Tap, interestingly enough. Star Trek The Next Generation, Twin Peaks, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, amongst others. His last screen credit was in 2017. Not much trivia going on in the scene where Sam and Dwayne talk about finances. The background music's an instrumental version of a Herman's Hermits track. Chris Rupenthal, who wrote the episode, he did the lyrics for these songs.
Ah, right. I was hoping you would be able to tell me what the stock footage was.
I don't have that information.
Surprising.
Normally I do, yeah. I didn't have that. I think one of the other Quantum Leap podcasts is actually called Fate's Wide Wheel, so that's also named after that song.
There you go.
In terms of things that we learned, do you have anything?
Sam was into Simon and Garfunkel. I'm not sure we mentioned it, but he did in the episode.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Yeah, other than the fact that he's got the Reagan attempt on his life seared into his conservative mind. In respect of on this date, so this is interesting because Al actually mentions a completely different date during the episode than the one that's in the title. So he mentions, I think, a date in the 20s of April, even though we're told it's the 12th of April.
Yeah.
So nothing happened on the 12th of April. I've actually got pretty much nothing for the whole month other than ABBA winning Eurovision, Penn met Teller, and the NFL granted a franchise to Tampa Bay.
I have got Belinda Emmett, the Australian actress from Home and Away. She was born, but she sadly died in 2006.
Don't remember her.
Yeah, recognise her face.
Okay.
Silvinho, the Brazilian footballer of Barcelona, Arsenal and Man City fame. He was born on that date as well. The number one in the UK was Season in the Sun by Terry Jacks. And in the US, we had Elton John with Benny and the Jets.
Great song. Going to see Elton John soon.
You hope.
If he keeps going, yeah. A few more weeks.
Is it a few only weeks, yeah?
It's in June, yeah.
Did you not mistakenly buy those tickets about 18 months ago thinking it was in...
Last June.
June, yeah. I did.
Yeah. But it's almost here.
Before he pulls out with a throat illness.
I'd be so unhappy. I'm literally in the back row of the back set of the highest seats in the Hydro.
Should have big screens.
Next week,
what have we got?
We've got A Hunting We Will Go, where Sam has a bounty to collect. So we will see you in 1976.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye.